Do you know what the most important sales tool that you can use online is? Nope, it's not TikTok. Nope, it's not Instagram. Nope, it's not your Facebook group. It is actually your website. And if you don't have those top performing pages on your website converting, well, you might just be wasting time, energy, and money getting a bunch of traffic to your website that is not going to convert into sales. Today on the show, I have a very special guest with me, Erin Alexander of the Product Powerhouse podcast. She's also a Shopify expert, and she's been doing graphic design and website development for many, many years, helping product-based businesses like yours grow your impact, reach, and sales by doing what you already do great, designing beautiful products. And at the end of the day, you're doing the great job already on the front end. So let's get you some more sales and conversions with better optimized websites and tools. As I mentioned, Erin is a coach in our Momentum program. And over at Flourish and Thrive Academy, Erin and the rest of our coaches and myself work with jewelry and product makers to help them scale their sales to multiple six figures and beyond using something that I call the Desire Brand Effect. And I'm super excited to talk to Erin in this episode today. Before we dive in, I would love for you, if you haven't done so yet, to subscribe to this channel, to like this video, and comment below if you haven't with your biggest takeaway. And if you have any friends who actually might enjoy this video, feel free to share it. All right, let's dive in. I have a special guest, Erin Alexander, on the show with me today. Erin, thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me, Tracy. I'm excited.
So we were just chatting before in the pre-interview. I had you on the podcast, I think 2 years ago. So if you haven't listened to that episode yet, we talked about mistakes that people make on their website and different things that you can do to optimize them. Today, we're going to be talking about the 5 most important pages on your website. We might have a bonus page in there. We're going to see. And when I was trying to contact you via Instagram a couple of weeks ago, I was like, where's Alexander Design Co? I think she's still coaching in our program. Where's her profile? So tell us a little bit about what you've been doing, because you changed your name more recently and you're doing some other things.
Yeah. So last year I started a podcast as well, and I called it Product Powerhouse because I really really love working with product-based businesses. It feels like a very small, it's not even a small group of business entrepreneurs, but all of the celebrity entrepreneurs, they teach services or they teach how to create courses. They don't teach how to sell physical products. And I loved helping build these product shop websites. So I just went all in on supporting product-based businesses. And so I changed my business name from Alexander Design Company because it was kind of just something that I went with because I didn't think of anything better, and changed it to Product Powerhouse so that I can help women business owners become powerhouses in the product world.
Awesome. And you're still designing websites?
Yep. I'm a Shopify partner, and I help Shopify people build their websites on Shopify only. I don't work with any other platforms. Just trying to be the best helping these product-based shops do their e-commerce thing.
Okay, so I'm obsessed with Shopify too, and I love it. Why do you love Shopify, and why did you decide to just go with only Shopify?
Yeah, so the other option I think for most people is WordPress with like a WooCommerce or something. But the problem with those platforms, or that particular platform, is it's so complicated to use. There's all these pieces and there's all these different things that come into play. But with Shopify, it's all in one. In order to be one of their theme designers, in order to be an app developer in the Shopify world, you have to follow their rules. And Shopify has a fantastic support system. So if you did need help with your website, you can contact them directly. There's no contacting WordPress. I also think it's really easy to use as far as adding new products, creating blog posts. And shop owners have to be able to do that on their own, because when they can't, they're stuck and they're needing other people to run their business. And I don't think that that's empowering, but being able to upload a new product or create a discount when you want to, that's empowering. And so I love how easy it is to use the platform to do the things that shop owners need to do every day.
Yeah. So, because a bunch of designers, or not designers, I should say. Oh yeah, designers. They're designers, makers. all the things. I get it confused in my head what like graphic designers pay. They're not graphic designers. They want to get on platforms like Wix or Weebly or something like that. And I'm always saying like, just go with Shopify, because what's going to end up happening is you're going to upgrade later.
Yep. They're going to end up like getting nickeled and dimed for every little thing they want to do, especially some of those like Wix. They're like, oh, add this for $5 and add this for $7, which I guess is the same within Shopify, adding apps, but you have a lot more control over what you can do inside of Shopify than you can with Weebly or Wix. And like, I guess in the web design world, we're so annoyed by those, like we don't even consider them options.
You're like, just go with the
We're
best.
Snobs. Just go with the best.
Web design up. Yeah. So I love Shopify. And actually in the show notes, we have a free trial offer for people who are thinking about Shopify. And I'll definitely post that in the show notes because it's something that I think is the most empowering platform. And I used to talk against it. I used to always be like, get a WordPress site with a WooCommerce theme. And we do have designers in our community who use that, probably on my recommendation, because there's so much you can do with it. But then the user experience thing, like being able to update your site yourself and not having to hire someone to code and stuff like that, unless it's complicated, as you said, is empowering and amazing.
Yeah. And I have built a few stores on WordPress, and probably at the time I thought it was the best option for them also. But now several years later, it's so frustrating because every time we log in, there's a new app to update or a new plugin to update. Those plugin updates break the website, and it's just so frustrating. And we don't have that problem with our clients who are on Shopify.
I love it. So good. So let's talk about everyone's websites. You're a coach in our Momentum program. And you've been coaching in the program for a couple of years now, which has been super fun.
Yeah.
What
has been really fun.
I'm just curious.
I think I loved getting to come to the event in New York before COVID. That was really fun. It was really fun to like connect with people and like really get to hear their stories. And the other thing I absolutely love is doing the website reviews. Like when they first come into the program, they're usually coaching with me to do a website review or an audit. And then they come back to get, like, okay, I did these things we talked about. What do I do next? And I get a lot of feedback from those website audits. They're like, no one ever told me I needed to do this. It's the most helpful thing. And I walk them through like how to do this. Like I was on a coaching call yesterday, like walking someone through step by step what they needed to do to like get the results they wanted. And she was like, thank you for breaking it down into step by step things, because the tech part is really overwhelming for a lot of people, but I truly believe it doesn't have to hold you back.
Yeah, well, that's cool, because then they have like a system for updating it the next time when they need to make the same change and stuff like that. So
yeah,
which is super cool. Yeah. So you mentioned our live event. I missed the in-person one. So we're doing a virtual one on June 15th. That is going to be open to the public. So I'm super excited about that. I'm going to convince
that'll be awesome. Yeah.
Anyway,
that'll be awesome.
Let's talk about your website. You design websites for a living. You also have this Product Powerhouse podcast and helping product-based business owners expand their reach with using their website as a tool. So you do this all day in, day out. And most people don't think about it. So I want to talk about the 5 most important pages on your website. And we could just break it down one by one. So what do you think is the most important page that you have to have dialed in?
Yeah, I think the actual most important page is the product page. That is where most people find you first. They're Googling for something, or they found a pin on Pinterest and they land on that product page before they send anything else. And if you don't wow them within that product page, they're not going to click over to any of the other pages. What's funny about that is the product page is probably the one people spend the least amount of time on. They just are, by the time they start writing product descriptions and posting product photos, they're like burnt out from the web design. But it's the most important. Like I hire an assistant who only works on product pages. So it's her job to optimize them, to tag products, to organize products. Like that's all she does, because it's that critical for your website.
So how do you recommend someone approach this so it's not overwhelming when they're getting their product page done? And what are some of the key components of a successful?
Yeah, there's a lot of information here. So the best way to go about it, if you have a brand new site, then it's going to be easier. Like just create a list of your products and go through each one by one. If you have an existing site, start with your best selling products and work on optimizing those first. To make them more compelling. So the most important pieces are the product photography, obviously. Like you have to have good, clean, crisp pictures. You have to have the right sizes of pictures. But then you also need really good titles. And I find this most common in product handmade shops. Like they make these cutesy names for their products. But unfortunately, those cutesy names don't they don't help growth. So if you have, named I always use like a rosy necklace as an example. It's something I saw on someone's website once, like a rose quartz necklace calls Rosie, and they'll just have Rosie as the title of the product. But if you add that rose quartz necklace, that gets traffic to your site through Google. They need those keywords. So you have to spend time, like you have to actually have titles that describe the product, not just cute names that work, like that are fun, like in order to actually grow your audience and your traffic through Google, which I think for a lot of shop owners, it's really important that they do use Google to grow their business, because you're eventually going to run out of people, to expand your business. And word of mouth is powerful. And I think you can grow an entire business on that. But just imagine how much better it could be if you were getting like strangers finding you.
Exactly. So I have a question for you about that. So you're saying in the product title, like let's say we're talking about the Rosie necklace, the Rosie, would you do like a hyphen or a colon and say like rose quartz pendant necklace or something like that? Or like
that's what I would recommend.
Handmade rose quartz necklace or something.
Yeah. Using the word handmade is it's not helpful just because there's too many things that are handmade, right? So the specifics, the rose quartz necklace is really what people are searching for. And I would just put it on there next to it. You can say the Rosie and then make a like dash, hyphen, slash, whatever you like. And then put the rose quartz necklace piece. Google is super smart and it's going to figure out that rose quartz necklace is what's describing the product. But that product title, it tells Google what the whole page is about. So that's why it's important that it's in that title and not somewhere else. You would also include it in the description, but that title piece is it's like the title of the book, basically. Google's saying, this is the title of the book. And that's how they're going to tell people whether or not they want that book or not.
And what about the image? How do you want to describe that?
Yeah. So your product images, I think that there's, you have room to be creative in there. A lot of people like having the picture with the white background. That's really great. You can have some like creative layout shots as long as they're not too busy. You want to make sure you name your photos with the same name as the product title. And then you can also add alt text. And alt text is supposed to be used to describe what's in the photo. So you would say like, image of rose quartz necklace, pendant necklace laying on a white blanket, so that it's using the keyword, but it's also describing what's in the photo.
Okay, so the alt text, is that what gets picked up on image SEO?
Yeah, the alt text is actually for two purposes. So the number one purpose is so that people who are using screen readers for accessibility can tell what's in the image, right? Because their screen readers can read out that phrase for them. The title is not necessarily as important as the alt text, but it does show up in the code. So you might as well take advantage of it and name your images with those product titles.
Okay, awesome. And then what else in the product description? Do you think we should have, obviously I think measurements are important. Anything else?
Yeah, I love bullet points that have like measurements, materials, what's it made out of? If you have something that is very particular about the way you care for it, you might include that. Some people like to add like a little bit of a story, which I think is fun. You still want to use the same descriptive keywords in the description, you would repeat the same keywords. So if you called it the rose quartz pendant necklace, somewhere in the description, you also want to say rose quartz pendant necklace. That's just like reassuring, yep, I'm telling the truth. This is definitely a rose quartz pendant necklace. But anything that helps the customer feel like they are confident when they get that order. The number one, actually, there's like statistics. The number one reason people return something on those surveys, it says it's not what I was expecting or it wasn't as expected. So you want to use that description area to cover all the expectations.
Okay, cool. That is so helpful. That's super helpful. So what do you think the next most important page is? Page number 2. What are we looking at?
Yeah, the one that I would go to next is the homepage. And honestly, that's the one I spend the most time designing, but it's because you can be a lot more creative on those pages than you can the product page. But in the grand scheme of things, you're going to want to put your product pages first and then your homepage, because here's what happens in a customer sales journey. They're like, oh, I really want a rose quartz necklace to wear to my cousin Brian's wedding. And they search for this rose quartz necklace and they find this shop, they find the necklace that they like. And then they're like, I want to know more about the shop. So they click on the homepage. And your homepage is like walking into your boutique. If you had a shop when you walked in, it's going to tell you so much more than just a catalog. So you want to have really great images. You need to have images with people in them. No matter what you sell, you need to have images with people because it makes it feel real and tangible to the customers.
Model
and
shots.
Then you want to, yes, I love them. The pictures that have, the websites that have model shots are 100 times, this is me making up stuff, but they are so much more engaging. And as a designer, they're so much more fun to design. Like they're just, as a shopper, like you can kind of picture yourself in the moment when you see people wearing the jewelry, right?
It gives context too, right?
Yeah, it really does. Yeah. You also want to make sure to show off some products, because when you walk in the store, you see products laying around, right? But it's not all products. There's also like ambiance. So, and there's a cashier. So you get to show off your business. And I think that that's a piece of small business that people are afraid to do. They're afraid to put themselves in the business and like their face in the business. But that's the reason why people are shopping with you. So I love to include a small bio section about the company, about the owner, and then lead that to the about page. Customer reviews are critical, because if you walk into a store and it's got lots of people in there, you're like, yes, there's lots of stuff happening here. I want to check it out. But if there's no one in there, you're like, is there good stuff in here?
It reminds me of this. I used to shop at sample sales when I was still living in New York, and you go in, it's like the dead sample sale. Like people would fight over something that's not even that cute just because there was a lot of people there. The psychology of that. It's like you see all the reviews and you see all the things. And you're just like, oh, I need to have this kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. And it's building that know, like, and trust factor. Even though they don't know the shoppers or the people that you've put up there, they're like, these are real people who liked it. So I might like it too.
I love that. Okay. So anything else with the homepage before we dive on to page number 3?
Nope. I think that's it. Make it more interesting. Use your homepage to like give a taste of your business as a whole.
Okay, I wanted to mention one thing about the photography, because you were talking about the model shots for jewelry. Like I've seen so many people, and we met you through one of our students, Gina and Jared. And when before they had their website overhauled by you and came back, and it was like night and day, because they had these beautiful images on their website, but you could not tell what they were selling. They were like, are this a blanket? Is this a bridal photographer or whatever? Because the images they're beautiful images, but they weren't selling the product. So the one comment that I would make about getting photography with people in it is to make sure that the focus is on the product, not on the image as a whole.
Right.
Would you agree?
Yeah. I think I think it has to be really careful, especially with something like jewelry that you're trying to create an emotional connection, which you can't do if you're just looking at the ring itself or the necklace itself. But if you back it up just a few steps, then you can get some of that emotion in the picture. And that's what pulls people in. But you do have to focus on the product too, right? So like, even if the one picture is maybe backed up a little bit and you're seeing her smile, and then the next picture is the jewelry, they all go together. The other thing that I think is a common misconception is like, because I don't know like what the specific philosophy is about copy on a website, but everyone's like, no words, people won't use words. But you have to have some words, because copy and put photos together is what creates an emotional connection. So, use your words as a way to draw attention to what you want to in the photos.
I love that. Okay, page number 3.
I think the next page is the about page. So your about page, like 15 years ago, I was a blogger, and the about page was like my story of how I went to college and I was ready to take on the world and I love creative writing, right? It was like all about me. It was so cheesy. About pages aren't like that for business owners. They shouldn't be like that for bloggers either. But your about page is really like what your company is about and what you stand for, but why the customer cares. Like, it has to be from the perspective of the customer and why it matters to them. Like, if you love using sustainable products because you have a certain belief in that, you need to like get them to believe it too, right? Or your ideal clients are also people who believe that. So you're going to talk about it in a way that inspires them. And it's less about you and more about inspiring your customers. And then you can go even further, because in design now, the trend is to have a little bit longer pages because it's easier to scroll longer pages on your phone. You can go more in depth. You can show behind the scenes. You can show more like your philanthropy work. Like when you're volunteering, you can really get them on board with who you are as a person. And like, again, it's making that emotional connection with the business owner, but it's also showing them why they care. Like, oh, Nikki really cares about recycling and reusing jewelry and making sure that the gems are fair mined, or whatever the right word is, but like that stuff is important. And especially like we're finding that it's getting more and more important as time goes on. And so you could spend more time on your about page. And I always hear like, it's so hard to write about myself, but I'm like, don't write about yourself, write a story for the customer, why it matters.
Exactly. This is a great point. And I love that you brought this up, because one of the ways that we teach writing an about page is really about making it about the customer. And, my friend Laura Belgray, she's been on this podcast before, and she has a different methodology about her about page builder and stuff like that. But I think the most important thing is if you can pique someone's curiosity about what it actually is. And so in our Laying the Foundation program, one of the things that we work with designers and brands who are just trying to develop their messaging is like, what are the core values that you have that your customer also stands for? And that way you can find that intersection. And it reminded me of that because when you were talking about the recycled jewelry or sustainable jewelry or whatever you were saying before in the, hypothetical, if that's sort of the angle that you want to go with in your business, obviously you can create the avatar around who that person is and call them out on the about page. Like, even if you said something like, I design jewelry for the XYZ person or the XYZ woman, or you're here because you're XYZ. And I love working with people like that. So it's not so much about like this long, boring list of accolades. It's about how can you find that core crossover with what you value most and what your customers value most, and communicate that in a story, which I love that. So from a call to action perspective, like, what do you recommend having on the about page? I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that we want to get people to shop. So somewhere on that page, we want to link to our shop. Is there anything else that you would do?
Yeah, I usually like to end the page with a shop my favorite collection, because it's sending people to the shop, but it's also incorporating your perspective and your style. Like, these are the ones I wear every day. One of One of our students that I've worked with, Joya Jewelry, she ends with like, these are the ones I wear every day. And when you see her, she does wear the same jewelry every single day. And so it's like someone who's like popped into her shop or seen her on a video, like, these are the pieces she wears. So it's giving like an insight into the business owner's life, but also saying like, hey, buy something.
Yeah, exactly. Joya's cranking. She's doing so well. I'm like happy.
Yeah, she's incredible.
Go check her out. She's got a great jewelry line. Okay. Anything else on the about page that you think is relevant?
I don't think so. I think that's it. I was about to mention the call to action too.
Perfect.
I'm glad you brought it up.
Page number 4.
Okay, your contact page. People want to be able to ask questions, even though it's annoying to answer emails all day long, but people need to be able to ask questions. And in fact, it is a requirement by Google to have a contact page if you are going to run Google ads. And, all the different places have different rules. So Facebook might have some rules about what you have to have. PayPal has rules about what you have to have on your website if you're going to use their service. So websites need to have a contact page. But this is also a great opportunity to kind of use it to your advantage. You don't have to just have a contact form and say, email me here. You can put in interesting information about your business. Like if you have a location, obviously you want to put that, put up an email address, put up a customer service phone number if you have one. You can have your FAQs on your contact page. You can offer them to sign up for your email list is a great way to let them get to know you. But a contact page is something people expect. So you want to give it to them, but you can also use it to your advantage. So I keep that one on my list of most important pages.
Yeah, I think the contact page is really important. There's nothing that I can't stand more when it's just like a form on the page though.
Yeah.
There's nothing else. Like what else do you recommend from a design perspective first? Like what would you put on that page? And do you think a phone number is important? I heard once that you get like, it highly increases your conversions if you have a phone number on your website.
Yeah.
And without other information.
Yeah. So it depends on like the type of business. Like, if they have a location, then I definitely want to include specific things about the location because that's really good for SEO. And you can like focus the site on their location SEO, location-based keywords to grow, to get that incoming traffic. If people are visiting the area or they're looking for somewhere they can stop in. I love to include a photo again because maybe they didn't check out the about page and they just want to ask a question. I think it just kind of says like, hey, this is who you're emailing. I'm a real person. I definitely think you should have a email address. A lot of businesses do, especially retail, people do expect a phone number, but I also think it depends on your ideal client or your dream customer. Because if they're millennials, like I will do anything to not have to call a business, right? But an older clientele, they're like, well, did you call them? I'm like, no, I didn't call them. I don't call people, So it kind of depends on your ideal customers. And I absolutely think that it's worth testing out. If you put up a phone number and you're getting a lot of calls that are not spam and they're like really legitimate and you're having great conversations with customers, by all means use it. I had a phone number on my website for a while and only one lady ever called me and she left a lot of messages. And so I took it off.
Yeah. So I heard someone told me that it helps improve conversions. There was some statistic about it. But the advice that I give to people is like, you don't have to have your actual real cell phone number there. You can get a voice number and you can text people voice through the app, which I didn't even know. And so that's what we use for Flourish and Thrive. Because obviously my team doesn't want to. And then we have people switching out customer service. Like if we have 3 customer service people, we can have one number and everyone can use that same number to communicate, like to correspond with people calling. Because we do get people calling us sometimes at Flourish and Thrive too. What I found really valuable is that if you get a Google Voice number in the app, you can literally text with people and you can say call or text here. And then you're not necessarily giving away your personal information, which I think is good.
Yeah, I definitely think you should either have a Google Voice number or a separate business line for some privacy. I also think it can depend on your business size and like if you do farmers markets and things like that, there's a lot of different instances where people might want to get in touch with you, and phone is probably easier. So it's always worth trying and always worth seeing what works best for your business.
What do you think about, so on the contact page, like some people do wholesale or they might get press inquiries. Do you think it's valuable to add contact details for that as well?
Yeah, I will put that underneath everything else, because people who are searching for wholesale vendors and or press, they know to like look in the folds of the website. So I will put that underneath, because your ideal customer, right, they want to be at the top, and then put that further down. It's not going to prevent annoying people from filling out the wrong form, or, filling out the form when they need to email you. I even have that on my website, and people still pitch me in my contact form, but it can be helpful. Like, people who are intelligent, who are like really valuable resources, they're going to follow whatever precedents you've set up on your website. So I would keep that at the bottom of your contact page. You can also have a separate page for wholesale applications if you prefer people to just apply and then get in touch with you later. It just depends on your process for gathering up those types of customers.
I love it. Okay, finally, we got a page 5, and this might be a toss-up. What are we going with for page 5?
Yeah, I think we talked about, for every business is different. In your page 5, I usually call it a landing page. So your business might have a custom design piece to it, and that's a page that you're going to want to spend a lot of time on and optimize and really focus on the design. Or your business might have a charitable piece where you really want to you give back in a big way, and you really want to draw attention to that. I'm thinking of Nikki from Revive Jewelry, who she has like a full page of that. Or maybe you have a subscription box, and that needs a full landing page. But whatever your thing is, make sure you're not just throwing up a text page like Shopify offers, but going in and really putting some thought and interest and like engaging content into that page, giving visuals, really like making it a page that stands on its own, which I think is difficult in Shopify. Not every theme gives you that option. So sometimes you have to add an app, or sometimes you have to get it coded. Some themes do give you that choice. It's really worth spending time to create those additional pages. Your like terms and conditions and your privacy policy, and they can all be boring pages, but anything that's a big focus and like a big part of your business, that should have its own standalone landing page.
Awesome. So what are your favorite themes? Speaking of themes.
Yeah. My favorite theme is the Impulse theme. It's created by Arc Themes, and I just think that it's incredible. It's very flexible. It has a lot of different sections that you can manipulate to get the design you want. It has all the features. The most important thing when you're picking a theme is to look for the features that you want. And features that I think are important are the ability to have videos within the design, which is becoming standard, but it wasn't for a while. The ability to add filtering through your shop so that people can search by like gold or ring size or stone type. I think that's really critical for businesses that have a large inventory. And then there's some fun design things like having those bigger, like pretty menus, which we call mega menus. It has that. I also like the themes by Out of the Sandbox. They have a couple in the Shopify store, and I'm going to mix up the names so I won't pretend that I can remember them off the top of my head. They have some that are available in the Shopify store, and then they have some available on their website that are like twice the money. Those ones that are like twice the fee are incredibly flexible. I think they're called Turbo and Flex. But you can change everything in there. So I feel like for people who really want to DIY and want to be in control of their design, those themes, even though they're more money, they're going to be happier with them because they have more control.
Now, what are we talking about more money? Like how much more?
So a normal theme, like the Impulse theme, is $180. And I believe the Flex or the Turbo theme is like $400.
Okay. So it's a one-time fee. Yeah, it's expensive.
Yeah, it's a one-time fee.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah. It's much better to spend your money on a theme than it is to install a lot of apps apps to get what you want. Because every time you install another app, it could have it could not talk to the other apps, or it could break your site. Not break your site, slow down your site is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, slow down your site. And it could also end up being like a monthly recurring that ends up being a lot.
Yeah, I try to avoid those at all possible. Like I try to do as much as I can on like the research side so that people don't have to pay extra when they're every month. Some things you do have to pay extra, but as much as possible, let's avoid those fees.
Yeah. Erin, this was awesome. Thanks so much for being here.
It was. Thank you.
Where can everyone find you?
Okay, so you can find me at productpowerhouse.co. The podcast is also called Product Powerhouse. I'm going to convince Tracy to be a guest, and that's the best place to find me. On Instagram, I'm Product Powerhouse also, and that's where we probably hang out the most.
Awesome. Thanks, Erin.
Thank you, Tracy.
Wow, wasn't that awesome? I hope you got some great insights from Erin. In the comments below, I would love to know what your biggest takeaway is. So go ahead and share that with us now. And if you'd like some support in your business, amplifying your growth and expanding your audience, all the things that you want to get more traffic to your website for, well, then I've got something for you. We're hosting an amazing event over here on June 15th. If you'd like to learn more about simple things that you can do for your business at any size to expand your reach more of your dream clients, and convert those clients into customers, well, we'd love to support you. Head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/amplify growth and check out the event right there and join us. We're super excited for this. All right, this is Tracy Matthews signing off. Till next time.